All right. We're going to be getting started. Let's see. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask, because once we start, then I'll switch over. So I got to put Dash back, but guess what? We're going to be hanging out with Zoe here in 1 second. He is precious. And I'm going to flip this around so you guys can see. You guys see those baby kangaroos? All right, I'm gonna be back in 1 second. I'm gonna see if they know where they are, and then I'm gonna switch mics. Be right back. This is Phoebe and Rachel. It's because she runs funny like Phoebe from Friends. I think it's funny, maybe you don't, but I think it's funny.
Both of them?
It's on, so don't like say anything crazy.
Okay. Hopefully. All right. You guys just watch your step right here. There's a little bit of a gap. But if you guys don't care to just sanitize your hands here for me real quick, we'll get started. All right, we'll be right in here. Come on in. Zoe is in here taking her a nap. You guys can come on in, close that door behind you. No.
And like
You have to, yep. All right. Hey, Zoe. Morning. Were you sleeping? Huh? Come on, girl. Let's go.
I'll do this way.
I know, girl. Come on. All right. We'll go right out here in those chairs that are set up is where we'll be sitting. We know who's wanting to hold first. Well, whoever wants to hold first can have a seat in the blue chair. All right. So when we hold Zoe, we have to be sure and always just support underneath her booty, just like this. Then you can give her nice slow pets down the middle of her back, but her sides and her legs and her belly is really sensitive. So we have to try to stay away from those areas. Just go real slow down the middle of her back. So she'll wrap her legs around your torso first, just like that. And then you can support her underneath her booty. There we go. There we go, girl. And get some snacks for us. So Zoe is about 16 months old. She is still a baby. She's still not fully matured yet, but is getting there. They mature around 2 years old. Get a hold of a bowl here. But she is a two-toed sloth, although it can be kind of confusing because usually when people think about toes, it's on the back feet, but it's the front feet where she has two, and then she's got three on the back. All sloths actually have three toes on the back feet, and it's the front feet where they differ. So we've had Zoe here since she was about 5 months old, and the behavior that she has is displaying here where she's holding on to you and is being comfortable with being held and enjoys this type of interaction. When we pet her, just have an open hand down the middle of her back. Scritches like this, they don't really like to be able to feel fingertips. But this is not typical behavior of a sloth. They think, usually people think about sloths being really slow, gentle, docile animals. But they can be, if you were to try to have an experience like this with a wild sloth, it would be completely different. It would essentially be the difference between holding a house cat and a feral cat. Those sloths, they can be gentle and docile as long as they're left alone. But as soon as you try to get them out of a tree and hold on to them, it's going to be a completely different story for you. You still working on that piece, girl? So a lot of conditioning and training went into Zoe from a very young age. She was born and raised in an ambassador program, which conditions them from a young age to enjoy this type of interaction. And to become an ambassador sloth, they have to meet two requirements. They have to genuinely enjoy and actively seek out human interaction to become an ambassador sloth. Now, if you actually lean back in your chair and kind of scoot your butt towards more the edge of the seat there, it's a little bit more comfortable sometimes, and she can kind of nestle in up closer around your neck there. She may still be looking for food, though. I've started something here. I'll give you this bowl, and you can feed her these pieces if you want to. Just keep in mind they do have poor eyesight, so she can't tell the difference between what's a sweet potato and what's a finger. So don't let her get a hold of a finger and start nibbling or anything. Where are you guys from? Okay, so not too far. Where'd you hear about us? Yeah, that's definitely our biggest platform right now, thanks to Kevin.
It just came up on my phone one day. And
Yeah.
I was like, Emily, look at this.
So like I said, Zoe had a lot of conditioning to get to this point. And so even by the time that she was just 4 or 5 days old, still on her mother, she was starting to have short amounts of time with being held by that breeder so that she would be comfortable with people. So it would start out similar to the mothers were clicker trained. And so they would know that anytime they heard that clicker sound, that they were going to get a treat, and that breeder was just going to borrow her baby for just like 10 or 15 seconds while still standing there right next to mom. So mom's never stressed out because she always knows what's going on, and baby's never really taken away from her, and baby's never stressed out because mom's never stressed out. So it's always a positive interaction that the baby sloths have with people. And so they slowly will go through that conditioning every day, and will be handled just a little bit every day, and slowly work up to where they're being held for more and more and more times throughout the day and longer periods of time. And then when that baby is completely weaned from their mother around 5 months old, then that baby is completely used to being handled. And they kind of go from mom being their source of comfort to then humans being their source of comfort. But like I said, that's not typical behavior of a sloth. Even a sloth, if it was born and raised in captivity around people its entire life, and you had never held that sloth, it would be a completely different, sensation for them, and they would not be comfortable with that. So it's for that reason that our older sloth, Flash, we don't hold him. We have never held him. He's almost 7 years old and has never been held. And so even though he's comfortable with us, he's comfortable with us petting him, hand feeding his food, and he's around us every day, he would not be comfortable with us just picking him up all of a sudden. And yes, it would be something completely not natural for him. So if he ever were to decide to climb onto any of us, that would be completely his decision. But a lot of people think that when they are coming to interact with the sloths that they're going to be really smelly or stinky or gross animals, because a lot of times people will see pictures of wild sloths that had a lot of moss and algae and fungus and stuff like that growing all down their backs. But in reality, they're really clean animals if they're born and raised in captivity. Wild sloths have a lot of that, and they rely on that for camouflage and to feed the moths that are living on their back in the wild. But captive sloths don't have those moths, nor do they need camouflage from anything, and so they don't grow that moss or algae. They do have tiny micro cracks all throughout their hairs, and that's what gives them the ability to form that on their backs. It is.
Oh my god.
So again, the scritches are something that's a little bit more not really very comfortable for them. I know it's hard to resist because a lot of other animals like dogs or cats like that type of pets, but just the open hand for her is what she likes. So the sides are sensitive right there where your hand is at. Yeah, is on the side. So you'll have to rotate your hand out of her grasp there. Yeah. Sloths have an excellent grip strength, and so to be pulling your hand away from her is a lot more difficult than rotating your hand out of her grasp. And that's how they're able to hang upside down in the trees for so long and it be completely effortless for them because they have basically a locking mechanism in their claws that allows them to hang like that. Whereas this for us is a relaxed state. This for them is their relaxed state. So they're not using any muscles or energy to do that, to be holding onto the branch. But for them to actually let go of that branch and reach for the next branch, that's what's more difficult. So you can see right now with her just being relaxed, those claws were completely clamped in. This your guys' first time ever being around a sloth?
It is.
Yeah. But the sloths that we have here are probably the cleanest animal that we have on the entire farm because they don't have any natural scent glands, musk glands, odor, or anything like that to them. So in the wild, they have a lot of that moss and algae and everything that grows on them. And so they smell basically like the rest of the rainforest. They smell just like everything else that's around them. So it makes it really difficult for snakes to find them just because they hunt by temperature differences and sense of smell. And since they don't smell like anything and they're the same temperature as their environment because they can't maintain their own body temperature, it's pretty hard for a snake to detect them. The number one thing that's usually out to get a sloth is a harpy eagle. Those can spot them a lot easier because the sloths tend to stay up in the very tops of the sarcopia trees that grow in the rainforest. And so those eagles can spot them a lot more easily with their really good eyesight. And their claws are extremely strong. You know, those talons, once they latch around that sloth, they're just ripping that sloth off the branch and it comes off pretty easily. She's definitely not shy with her food.
No, she likes the food.
No, it can be difficult to distinguish between what's her side and what's her back a lot of times because she's very bendy. They have 3 extra vertebrae in their lumbar spine that allows them to actually rotate their spine all the way back to look back behind them. So right now her hips are facing towards you, but then her, spine is all the way manipulated back like that. And that's just easy for them to do. And that's one of the differences between a 2-toed sloth and a 3-toed sloth. The 3-toed sloths cannot bend their spine like that. They can just, they don't have that extra vertebrae in their lumbar spine, so they can go about halfway with their spine, but not all the way around. But they can do that with their necks. They have that 3 extra vertebrae in their cervical spine, and that allows them to rotate their necks all the way back around. And you guys are welcome to take any pictures or anything like that you guys want to. I'm working on it, girl. There you go. They do eat about 10% of their body weight every day, and so they do eat quite a bit. Sometimes I think Zoe eats just a little bit more than that. She's a chunky girl. And they only go to the bathroom once a week, about every 7 to 10 days. And so when they do go, they expel a massive amount. It's about 1/3 of their entire body weight. So she'll build up and get heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier every single day until it's time for her to go to the bathroom. And then when she goes, it's a massive amount that she's expelling. And then right afterwards, she slims down really, really well. And it's not just solids that they expel. They do pee and poop both at the same time. And they don't ever go up in the tops of the tree. They wait to come down to the base of the tree to do so once a week, every week. And they always go to the same spot every single time. And that's because in the wild, they have a symbiotic relationship with the moths that live all throughout their fur that feeds on the moss and algae that they have in their fur. And it's a symbiotic relationship, meaning that both the sloths and the moths benefit from that relationship. So both need each other in order to survive. And when the sloth comes down to use the bathroom, those moths will crawl down off of the sloth and lay their eggs in the waste product of the sloth. And then those moths need the sloth to come back to the same spot every time to go to the bathroom, because if they didn't, after those eggs matured into adult moths, they would have nowhere to go because they require direct contact with that sloth to be able to crawl up onto it. They can't fly around the environment like other moths can. And it is important for the sloths that they have those on their backs in the wild, because that's where they get the bacteria in order to digest their food. So the moths produce a specific type of bacteria in their waste, and when the sloth will lick that up off of themselves, that's where they get the means to be able to digest their food. And that bacteria is extremely sensitive to temperature changes, especially a drop in temperature. And in the rainforest, the temperature is always fluctuating, especially during rainstorms and certain, seasons and through the night. And if the temperature drops and some of that bacteria is destroyed, it's not a big deal for a wild sloth, because they just lick up some more of that bacteria that they have on their fur from the waste of the moths. But for a captive sloth, since they don't have any of that moss or algae or those moths that live on their backs, then a lot of people wonder how are they able to digest their food. And they get that bacteria the same way that a wild sloth does around day 3 of the baby sloth's life. They get it from their mother. So the bacteria that the mom has in her gut is also in her saliva. So when the baby kind of licks the mom around the corners of her mouth when she's eating, then the baby will get just a little bit of that bacteria from mom, and that baby will then develop its own bacteria colony. And since we keep the sloths in a very stable environment here in captivity, where it's constantly 78 degrees in here, we never allow it to drop below that, then that bacteria has a good place to thrive. So we don't ever worry about that bacteria being deteriorated. Now, if it did, if there was something happen like overnight throughout in the winter or something, if we were to leave their outdoor enclosure open and their enclosures dropped in temperature, the sloth body temperature as well, therefore that bacteria would die out. And that would be really detrimental for the sloth. They could pass away from starvation within about 2 weeks, even with a full belly of food, just not able to digest it. And so it's for that reason that we always tell people that owning a sloth as a pet is a terrible idea, because of how sensitive that is. And there's not a whole lot of people that keep their houses at 78 degrees. And that's what that bacteria requires in order to thrive. And they use it to digest their food. So it is a really sensitive system. Do you guys have any other encounters today, or is it just the sloth?
It's just the sloth.
Yeah.
What all can you do? Like, I mean, everything here.
Well, for me?
Kangaroos or
Oh,
just
oh.
like
yeah, whatever you can book, the encounters. Yeah, you can do so. We obviously have the sloths. There's different options to do with the sloths. So you have Zoe that you can spend 30 minutes with her, or you can spend 20 minutes with Dash, which he's our baby sloth. He's 10 months old. Or you can do 30 minutes with Flash, which is our adult sloth that you just get to feed. You don't get to hold him. And then you can also upgrade that to a VIP where you do 30 minutes with Flash and then 30 minutes with Zoe. But other encounters that we have are the kangaroo encounters. We do baby kangaroo bottle feedings. We have Hug a Highland. We have the micro mini Highland cows up there that you can bottle feed. There's sheep and goats that you can bottle feed. There's the petting zoo. There's the farm tour that you start up at the petting zoo and then you come down to the exotic barn and you get to see at least one kind of every animal that we have here on the farm. And that's a really good deal because it's only like $25 a person, but you get to see everything and hear about everything. It's not like a typical zoo where you just get to see the animals. Here, you actually get to interact with all of them. And so you get to hold them and handle them and feed them and things like that. So we have horseback riding. We've just started doing trail hikes. We also have the fennec fox encounters, and we just started doing the monkey encounters with Georgie, our spider monkey. And so you can spend some time with him up under the pavilion, seeing him play around and everything. We've got a lot of different things. We're always constantly growing. We've also got the camel encounter, so you can have a camel ride, or you can bottle feed the baby camels. So there's a lot of different options to do. It has been about half of our time. Did you guys want to switch over and you hold, or were you going to hold for the majority? Okay. So she'll transfer over onto me first, and then I'll transfer over onto you. So you won't have to do anything. Once she realizes I'm standing here, she'll just hook on to me. All right, girl. Let's go night night. Come on. There we go, girl. All right. I'll have you guys trade over chairs. So she will wrap her back legs around your torso first, and then you can support her underneath her booty. And sometimes it's a lot easier if you scoot your butt towards the edge of the chair and you lean back like that. And if she gets her fill with the veggies and everything, if you can actually scoot both hands up underneath her booty and raise her up higher up on her torso like this, then sometimes she'll wrap around your shoulders if that's what you want her to do. All right. Here we go, girl. Refill our bowl here. She gets hangry like a toddler. She also likes to explore a lot with her mouth because they do have such horrible vision that sometimes what they see, they can't really distinguish what they're looking at. And so they explore a lot with their mouths. Well, they'll kind of gum on things. And in the very front part of their mouths there, they don't have any teeth. And so a lot of times they'll use that to kind of decipher what it is that they're looking at. Did you get your belly full? No. So I just got to think about it.
The best ever.
So now would be a good time if you put both your hands underneath her booty and kind of scooched her up just a little bit. There we go. That is her favorite position. That's her most comfortable position to be in, especially if she's startled or scared by something. Since their eyesight is so poor, their sense of hearing is really good. So if I were to drop something or knock into a dish or something like that, and that startles her, the first place that she goes to is around somebody's neck. And it can kind of startle them because they're like, oh, is she coming for me? That's just where she's most comfortable, is up by somebody's neck where she can nestle in and not look at anything. That's where she feels most secure. And she's been that way since she was a baby. When we first got her in, she showed us pretty early on that that's where she liked to be. It's funny to see the differences between just Zoe and Dash. Dash is our 10-month-old baby sloth. And they came from the same facility. They were raised in the same way. We also hold Dash. They have different bloodlines, different parents and everything. They're raised in the same exact way by the same exact breeder, but they have vast differences between the two, where Zoe likes to be real up high on around your neck like that. And Dash, we call him our belly baby because he wants to sit down in your lap and not be any higher than right here so that he can look up at you the whole time. And so he's probably going to run into an issue when he gets to be bigger and is not going to be able to look at you the whole time. But for right now, he's still little. He's only like 5.5 pounds. He does during the day, but throughout the night and in the evenings, he goes back up to the main house. So for most of our animals, if we're bottle raising an animal, or if an animal is just really small and is a baby and needs extra attention, then it'll stay at the house. And so all of our sloths stay at the house for the first year of their lives. And then when they turn a year old, they come down here. And so he's still up there. He's got about another, well, I said 10 months. He's closer to 11 months now. I always forget that they get older every day, and I get used to saying the month. He's closer to 11 months old now. So he's got about a month left, and he'll be heading down here full time. So starting to slowly spend more time down here. Even today, he didn't have any encounters today, but he spent the day down here. He's actually in this basket right now. Yeah, he spends a lot of time in that basket taking naps. They do sleep a lot throughout the day, about 15 to 16 hours a day. And so it is a lot that they're sleeping. Not quite as much as scientists used to think. Scientists used to speculate that they slept around 20 hours a day, but actually after doing a little bit closer research, they realized that a lot of the times they thought they were sleeping, they were actually awake. They just weren't moving and weren't doing anything. So a lot of times a comfortable position for a sloth is if they're holding onto a branch, they'll be holding onto that branch with all four legs and get up really close to that branch and put their head in between their legs. And they'll just stay like that for hours at a time. Because that's just comfortable for them, but they could be awake. And so the diet that they have out in the rainforest are basically just leaves. It's 95% leaf material, and that's extremely low in calories. So it takes calories in order to create energy. So since they don't have a whole lot of calories, they don't have a whole lot of energy to be able to just be moving around and exploring and doing random things. So if a sloth is not actively eating or sleeping, they're just hanging there resting and digesting their food. So they really don't move around a whole lot. When they do, majority of the time it's through the night. The vision that they have, it works a lot better at nighttime, and it's kind of like night goggle vision. They have what's called bright blindness. So in the daytime or in a room where they have an LED light right above them, their vision is even more worse. They have a condition that's called rod monochromacy. So they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. We have cone cells in the back of our eyes that allows us to see color in the daylight. But they don't, so they are colorblind, and the rod cells function a lot better in the evening or in dim lighting, and that picks up motion. So something as simple as this for us could be a lot more enhanced and more scary for them because they also have a very narrow field of vision. So it's essentially like if you were to cup your hands like that together and look through it, that's about all they see. They don't have any peripheral vision, so they don't see it until it's right there. So that's why sloths can be very easily startled. And for a wild sloth, anything that's moving towards or by that sloth at any rate of speed is bad news, and they just want to get away from it. So kind of the first line of defense for a sloth is to just evade that threat. They want to get to the very end of that branch, away from whatever it could be, and hope that it doesn't come after them. If it does come after him, and if it is a jaguar or an ocelot or something that could potentially be dangerous for that sloth, and they end up both getting to the very end of that branch, it's kind of best case scenario for the sloth if that branch were to eventually break and they both go falling to the floor, because a sloth is built to be able to survive a fall from up to 100 feet in the air and be completely unharmed, whereas a cat falling from 100 feet in the air is probably going to try to land on all fours and is probably going to break all 4 feet on the way down. Whereas a sloth, they kind of, all 4 feet go out and they fall like a pancake, and they actually have a total of 46 ribs. So that's 2 sets of 23, and they just kind of like flex under their body weight and go back to normal. They've also got a lot of connective tissue that holds all of their organs and their intestines right where they're supposed to be in the middle of their body cavity, so they don't really experience any type of internal damage when they hit the ground. So that sloth will just go right back up the tree, and the cat's probably going to be laying there for a while. So that's usually what happens. It's on average, the sloths actually fall out of the tree that they're in about once a week. Whether that's due to something that has startled them, they've went out to the end of the branch, regardless of if it's following them or not, and they've fallen off that branch, or a miscalculated step. Since they do have such poor eyesight, they're going to grab for that next branch, and they actually grab their own leg. That happens occasionally, and they'll fall down from that. But it's not a big issue for them. Somebody suggested the other day that we should offer sloth naps, get a lazy boy and put it in here. Yeah. Once she gets full and she's calmed down and she's ready for snuggles, she's ready for snuggles, and she feels like a big weighted blanket. Yeah. Or one of those little rice bean bag things you put in the microwave and put on you. Yeah. Did you get plenty of good pictures and everything? You guys will definitely have to come back at some point and see like our baby kangaroos and stuff like that. And we got word 2 days ago, actually, from the breeder that we got Zoe from, that our next fourth and final sloth should be on her way in about 4 weeks. We should have her. So she went through the same program that both Zoe and Dash went through. We'll actually name her Chloe when she gets here. So we'll have Flash, Dash, Zoe, and Chloe. So, but when we first get them, they're super small. They're only like 2 pounds. And when we first get them, they're like jet black. The darkest color that she is on her head is what color she was all over when we first got her. They lighten up over time as their adult fur will grow out. They don't really shed like other animals, and they're thought to be kind of like hypoallergenic animals as well, because the whole time that you were holding her and petting her and everything, she doesn't have any hair on her, and neither will you. So they don't really shed out any of their summer coat or their baby hair or anything. It slowly will grow into their adult hair. But when we first get them, their hair's real short and dark, and they're really, really sweet. They go through a 30-day quarantine first, and then once they're comfortable with us and everything and have adapted to their new environment, then we slowly start to add on sloth encounters for them. But they'll only be like 10-15 minutes to begin with. Now, while Zoe would hold on to you all day, every day for probably several days because she is an ambassador sloth and that is what she wants to do, too much of any good thing can be bad, which is why if she were to be fully booked for her entire day, she would only encounter for 2 hours a day. That's her schedule fully booked. There is not an open slot after that for to be able to book to hold her. Now, she would gladly do more than that, but we always want to keep it to where she's looking forward to the next encounter and not us walk in there and she's like, oh my goodness, there's more people in here to hold me. So we don't ever want it to get to that point, which is why we are very, yeah, yeah. And they're very routine animals too. So she has a schedule where in the morning from 10:30 to 11:30, she can be booked for 2 30-minute encounters. And then in the afternoon from 2 to 3, she can have 2 30-minute encounters. And she gets pretty, routine to that schedule. So this morning she didn't have anybody booked to hold her. So we still did a little encounter with her ourselves. We go in there and we hold her and we be sure that we spend time with her just to keep her on that schedule and keep her, happy. Because it's more stressful for her to not be held than it is to be held. Whereas a sloth that did not have the same conditioning that she did, it would be opposite. To try to hold Flash, which we've never held before, would be stressful for him. And sloths are very easy to stress. And because of that, especially this in captivity, keeping a sloth in captivity is not natural for them. It's not natural for any animal. This diet has been manipulated to be able to keep them in captivity, but they're not going to have sweet potatoes and squash and zucchini out in the wild. And so any little changes, like if especially stress, if they were to go through a stressful time, can really mess up their systems. And so we really try to stay on top of it, make sure that we pick up any little details. If one of, since they only go to the bathroom once a week, if one of their bathroom habits looks a little weird or is off, or say she's on a strict schedule every 7 days she's going, and then all of a sudden it's the fifth day that she's going, we got a question, okay, what happened last week? Was there anything? We always have to be sure that we stay on top of our game, because this could go bad quick, especially with sloths. And that's why you basically have to be a sloth expert to own one. And there's not a whole lot of people that have enough time or energy to be able to. But kind of our whole idea with offering these encounters with these sloths that have been bred for this in an ethical way, in an appropriate situation, is that people will spend time with our sloths here rather than go down to somewhere that they're native to and disrupt the wild sloths. A lot of times I think people go down there because their thought process is probably, well, if I go down there and hold a sloth, I know those sloths have not been taken from the rainforest and brought over to the States. Whereas 100% of those sloths down there have been taken from the rainforest. They're just still in their natural, native, to South America. But they're still being handled in a very inappropriate situation, because all of those sloths have been taken out of the tree, are handled, and then sometimes put back into the tree. But the whole ecosystem they have on their backs are so sensitive that even just one encounter with a person, with that person touching and messing up everything that's on there, could be enough to not have that sloth live for very long after that, as they are so sensitive. And that's kind of our whole idea behind doing it here. Get a last snuggle in. And she always gets so snuggly right as our time is ending. It takes her, it takes a little bit to warm up and for her to get into snuggle mode. But once she's there, she's there. I always hate ending the encounters because she gets so snuggly last minute. The next people out there yet?
Unless it's, I didn't look to see if it's the same as the kangaroos, but I don't think so.
I'm not sure. I think it's Julia maybe.
Actually, I'll look while you guys are hanging out.
Okay. Yeah, I can take a picture of both you guys too if you want me to. It's kind of hard to take a selfie with a whole bunch of people. There we go. But you guys will have to keep an eye on our website once we get in our baby sloth. You'll have to come and spend some time with her. It is a treat. She's definitely building up. Her belly has like really gotten big today, so I'm thinking that it's probably going to be tonight or tomorrow that she goes to the bathroom. But don't worry, it is through the night that they go, so they've never went on anybody. Usually when I tell people that, I have to preface it very quickly afterwards that I've only ever seen her go once during the day, and she won't ever go on to somebody. It's a very specific position that they have to put themselves into to go to the bathroom. And you'll know, like if she was about to go to the bathroom and she was doing her little potty dance, I'd take her off of it because they hold on, and she'd probably wrap her arms around your neck and start going like this with her butt back and forth because that's what they do when they're going to the bathroom. So, but she has never in her whole life went to the bathroom on anybody, which is not to say she could never, but I definitely know before she started to go. It takes them a minute to get worked up before they start to let everything out. I think our next people are on their way down though, so I know it's hard after she starts snuggling in like that. Yeah, Zoe. Come on, Zozo. Good night, night. Girl. She knows to go. There we go. I love it. Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys got some good pictures and learned a little bit more. You're very welcome. Yeah, I'll let you get a little peek. But you can see how much darker he is compared to Zoe. But she was that dark as well when she was a baby. If you guys don't care to sanitize your hands again for me one more time. Go right here. And then if you guys like to do Google reviews, they're on the you can scan that QR code. You guys the next 12 people? Okay. Alrighty. You guys sanitize your hands already? Okay. Alright, you guys can head on in. If you guys want to have a seat down back there. Alright.
These babies are pretty. Are you sure you don't want to have a sweatshirt on? Mama, sure. Okay, I am.
Alright, well I'm gonna let you hold first.
Okay.
And then about halfway through we'll switch out. Alright, so when we hold Zoe, be sure and support her underneath her booty like this, and you can give her nice slow pets down the middle of her back. But her sides and her legs are really sensitive, as well as her belly. So sometimes it's hard to distinguish where's her side and where's her back. And if you're not 100% sure, then just put both hands underneath her booty because it is really sensitive to her sides. But she will wrap her back legs around your torso like this, and then you can support her underneath her booty.
Hi, Zoe. Girlfriend, you are famous. You are.
Where are you guys from?
Illinois.
Yeah. I'll give you this bowl, and if you want to feed her these little pieces. Look here, girl.
Support your booty here.
There we go. She may be ready for snuggle mode, yeah. She's going to get some snuggles in first, and we'll see here in a minute if she's hungry.
I'm going to make sure that he was able to watch it live.
Miss Zoe, I have been waiting for this.
Yeah. And you said you're from Missouri?
We're from Illinois.
Oh, in Illinois. Okay.
Girl.
Where'd you hear about us?
I watch you guys every day while I'm at work.
Yeah.
I just found out like 2 months ago that we were coming here. I didn't even know what we were doing.
You were surprising her.
Yeah.
She kept talking about it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Is this the first time you guys have ever been around a sloth?
It is.
Yeah. It's definitely a very different experience.
It's our first time holding this off. It's not our first time being around this.
Here, girl, right on. Give me more support.
Yeah.
Oh, and the kangaroos.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're very good supervisors. That's Rachel and Phoebe.
For friends.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. We like to raise our baby kangaroos in pairs. They do a lot better if they can associate with one another as well as people. Because when we go to put them out with the adults, all of a sudden, if they aren't raised around other ones, they can be kind of startled. It's a different change for them. And we tend to always go with the rhyming names or pair names like that.
Like, I don't know. But okay. Maybe.
Cuddles and
Like,
snacks at the
best.
same time.
I will take it.
Such a rough life, as you can see. Is it everything you'd hoped for?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Throwing veggies.
keep your fingers back.
Yeah.
Can't differentiate between your finger
Mhm.
Yeah, I already told you this.
and the veggies.
Yeah.
Because she sees in black and white. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. But they see motion really well. That's about the only thing that they can pick up well, because they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. And the cone cells are what picks up the color. But they do see motion. So something as simple as just a slow movement in front of us may be a lot quicker for them. And their field of vision is extremely narrow as well. So they don't really see something until it's right in front of them, which is why they can be pretty startled.
She's like, all right, this is awesome.
You guys get the biggest version of Zoe. I think she's probably going to go to the bathroom tonight or tomorrow.
She's like, I'm waiting for more snacks and you move. Look closer, kid.
Oh.
She's like 5-second rule breaks. We do get the best cuddles.
Somebody said the other day that we should offer Sloth naps and get a little lazy boy and set it in here.
For real.
She is. She's kind of, especially after she's sitting there for a while and it's hot outside. She's like one of those little rice packed things that you can put in the microwave and warm up and then lay on you. That's about what she feels like.
She's like, we're going to eat more.
She's definitely slowed down though, as they do once they start to fill up and it's about time for them to go to the bathroom, they're slowing down.
Yeah, just like that voice I heard.
Yeah, he had to slow down for a minute.
Yeah. You guys lodging here or did
We
you just?
we stayed at the Riverside.
Okay. Unfortunately.
There's
Oh.
no internet.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
10 years old, you think you're dying. If you don't have internet.
Oh no.
I'm telling you what.
But it was fun, especially fishing.
Yeah. You catch anything?
She almost did, but I threw a rock.
Oh.
Right as a fish was getting ready to bite my pole.
Oh
And I
no.
was watching it.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Oh.
But they're trying to skip rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Get tired.
How long you guys staying here?
This
We're
is our
leaving.
last day. I think we're leaving tonight.
Okay. Doing any other encounters today?
We did the horseback riding.
Okay.
With that other little girl.
Yeah.
There was a little girl out there that did horseback riding at the same time.
Yeah. Did you guys do the farm tour or anything like that, or just the horseback?
We did the horseback riding, and then this right here is what
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, sure.
What we came from Illinois.
Yeah.
You, this thing.
We also came to North Carolina.
Yeah.
We're going to see a castle.
Yeah.
We're going to North Carolina after the Sloth.
Yeah.
After eating, I could just sleep right here with you. This is an amazing idea. So you just go to sleep, girlfriend.
Now, this type of behavior for a sloth is not necessarily typical. A lot of people think of sloths as being really slow, gentle, docile animals. But in reality, if you were to try to have an experience like this with a wild sloth or a sloth that had never been held before, it would be very different. It would essentially be the difference between holding a house cat and a feral cat. You'd probably walk away from that looking quite differently.
Where'd it go? Poor baby.
Sometimes she just randomly, she'll be so deep in snuggles, then all of a sudden just be looking around like, what's going on?
Was it more comfy that way?
She just said, I had to readjust. But there was a lot of conditioning and training and everything that went into her from a very young age to get her to this point. She went through an ambassador program where that breeder handled her every single day for short amounts of time so that she would be comfortable with being around people. By the time that she was, not even a week old, that breeder was already spending time in there with her and around her. And the mothers had the same type of training. And so the mothers are actually clicker trained to know that when she hears a clicker noise and she has a baby, that breeder's going to come up and give her a treat, and then it's then going to borrow her baby for just like 10 or 15 seconds while still standing right next to the mom. So the mom's never stressed out. Oh. The mom's never stressed out, therefore the baby's never stressed out. And it's always a positive interaction that baby is having with people. And it just becomes normal for them. It's just a part of the everyday routine. And so then by the time that they're weaned by their mothers around 4 or 5 months old, then that baby's used to being held by a person for upwards to an hour a day at a time. And they're just comfortable with that. And they kind of go from mom being their source of comfort to then humans just being their source of comfort. So Zoe would much rather be holding on to a person than she would be by herself. Sure. So even if she had a fully booked day, which what a fully booked day looks like for her is that she has 2 hours of encounter, an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, and that's it. We don't book them ever for more than that. While they would hold on to us gladly for longer than that. With any too much of any good thing can be bad. And so we don't want to book them to the point where we're going in there for the next encounter and the next encounter and the next encounter. And she just kind of is looking at us like, all right, I'm done. Because some people, everybody has different personalities. And while you're really slow and gentle and calm with her, other people get really excited to be holding a sloth and they'll be petting kind of quick or, just kind of working her up. And she feeds off of people's energy. So, having different people like that, she has to be able to have time to decompress and just do things that she wants to do. So. So that's one thing about our sloths is that we are very guarded of the time that people get to spend with them and that we get to spend with them, just so that we keep it always enjoyable for them so that it's enjoyable for us. And we always tell people that human safety is obviously our number one concern, but then number two is animal comfort. So they can't advocate for themselves. They can display certain body languages and things like that, but not everybody's going to pick up on that because obviously we weren't raised by sloths, and so we don't always understand the body language that they portray. But it's our jobs to be able to understand the animals that we work with well enough to be able to, voice that to the people that are actually interacting with them. And that's always top of our priority list. She's got her eyes closed. They're looking very longingly, and they literally just had their bottle. The smallest one there that's deep down in her pouch is Phoebe, and the one looking backwards is Rachel. And it's so funny when they're out playing around with each other, Phoebe will always be the one to start it. Like she'll grab Rachel around her neck and like sneak up and scare her and just be roughhousing with her. And Rachel's, she's only a month older than Phoebe, but she's almost twice her size.
Oh, yeah.
And so they grow really quickly when they're babies. And so sometimes when she's had enough of Phoebe, she will retaliate and start to play back rough with her. And then Phoebe just like flops all over the place and doesn't know what to do.
She's like, whoa, wait a minute.
I'm just playing.
Right on the middle of her back.
Yeah. You guys can take all the pictures and videos and everything too that you like. I have good memories.
Is it going live?
It's supposed to be, yep. I'm not sure which
It
platforms
won't
we're
go
on.
live because you're under 18, but they'll have video of it.
Yeah.
That Joel can watch.
Yeah. And if we're on YouTube, it'll be there later that you guys can always go back to look at. And that's probably what we're on. I doubt we're on TikTok right now because they have more specific guidelines for ages and everything that people can be. She is. She's got her eyes closed. So Zoe is a two-toed sloth. We really only had the two-toed sloths in captivity because three-toed sloths can be a lot more difficult to keep in captivity. Sometimes we can get little keyboard warriors of people that are upset that we're holding sloths and things like that, which at one side is good because the Conservancy Agency has done a really good job of getting out recently about don't touch sloths, don't hold sloths, don't take sloths, because down in places that they're native to, it's a big issue that they're having down there where people will be taking wild sloths from their natural habitat. That's really detrimental for them because those are wild sloths and they need to stay wild. While they're still sloths, they are a very different type of sloth. They have a whole ecosystem that lives on their back that's really sensitive. And if just something as simple as one pet down their back can be enough to mess up that ecosystem. And so for those sloths, definitely people are not supposed to be touching and handling those guys. But the reason why we have their sloths here that we can handle and we can interact with and hold is because these guys have been born and raised in captivity for generations upon generations upon generations. And she would have no idea what to do if we were to put her back out into the rainforest. She'd been hand-fed and held her whole life. So she would have no idea what to do.
It'd be so different from what she's used to.
I found the live.
Oh, yeah?
She's
Did you
watching
find
it
it?
live.
I'm surprised you're getting signal in this room.
I'm telling you what.
I'm connected to
Oh,
Starlink.
she connected.
Oh, okay.
I think you're connected to
Starlink.
She's like,
You guys have a YouTube channel?
We do.
They're on TikTok too.
TikTok, Facebook,
all the
Instagram.
time.
Well, I'm gonna find them.
How long have you guys been following us?
I have been following you for probably about a year now.
Really?
Yeah,
I just found out.
I think it's about a year.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely seen us grow and blossom
Oh,
then
yeah.
from what we used to be. So I've only been here for about 3 months.
I usually watch John feed Zoe in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And Flash.
Yeah. That's actually Kevin, the one with longer
Oh,
hair.
Kevin.
Yeah. John is the owner.
Yeah.
Kevin is the one that does all the social media for us. John stays so busy with all the other encounters and so many other things that Kevin, it's his sole job to make sure we're up and running on social media, and he does a great job of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And that's how we've developed so much over just the past year from what we used to be. So about a year ago, there were 3 employees, 2 of which being the owners.
Yeah.
So we have grown a lot. Now we've got 21. So we've came a long ways.
Only 110 people are watching.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people watching.
Yep. It fluctuates a lot. Sometimes there'll be a whole lot, and sometimes there's not. I try not to look at it because if there gets to be a lot of people on there, then I get nervous.
Yeah. Zoe, you are my spirit.
She is in straight snuggle mode.
We are one and the same, girly.
It has been about half of our time. Did you guys want to switch over halfway through, or did you want to hold for longer?
Do you want to hold her? Do you think you can do it?
Sure, try your sweatshirt.
Yeah, I'll have to give you the sweatshirt.
So she'll transfer over onto me, and then you guys can trade out hoodies and trade out
She's
seats.
Like, wait a minute.
Hey, Zozo. Hey, girl.
She's like, I'm tucking in. What?
Let's go nap nap. Come on, let me see your arm.
She's like, okay.
Come on, girl.
I guess.
This way. Find her little leg wherever it's at. There we go.
Right there.
You guys can trade out hoodies.
Yeah, right.
And do just keep in mind with Zoe that, you know, a natural position for her is being upside down. And so sometimes when she's holding on to you, her claws can be a little bit pinchy. But that's just normal for her because that is the natural position that, you know, that she is in most of the time. So it's never that she's meaning to squeeze down or clamp down or anything like that. That's just something that's natural for her to be doing. So she's going to wrap her back legs around you first, around your torso, and then you'll support her underneath your booty.
You gotta pay attention to her.
All right.
She's the main star today.
I'm the main character.
Nope, not today.
What do you mean not today?
She's like, oh, hello.
As long as you just support her underneath her booty. Yeah. And she's got great core strength, so you don't really have to support her even up top, just down below, as long as you've got a hand under her booty.
What you got? You tell me if you want something, miss. I got it. Want that?
And you can see the whole time that you were holding her and petting her and everything, you don't have any natural shed or dander or anything on you. They are kind of thought to be hypoallergenic animals because they don't really shed. Therefore, they don't really have any
Super
dander.
area. You're just tired. I know. She doesn't like her sides being petted, so
Yeah.
just pet her back.
And even the arms are really sensitive for a sloth as well, because think about for them, they're on the underside of that branch. So they're holding on to the branch, and a jaguar or an ocelot, if they're up above on the top of that branch trying to grab a hold of a sloth, the first thing that they're going to grab is a leg. And so for that reason, the legs and the underside of the sloth is really sensitive.
Just going to tuck right in. What do you want, Zoe?
But you can feel actually how soft they are compared to what a lot of people think that they will be. Because they see pictures of sloths that are in the wild that are really rough and coarse and have got a lot of moss and algae and fungus all over them. But in reality, they're pretty soft if they don't have any of that on them.
How long have you guys had the kangaroos?
We've had the kangaroos for like the last 3-4 years. We always cycle through our babies, so they're obviously our babies always grow up, and once the females get old enough, they go out there with the adult kangaroos. We always will cycle. You can just leave it. I pick up after them all day, every day. I got to sleep afterwards anyway. So we cycle through them, and after that Phoebe is actually our first baby kangaroo that we've had born here on the farm. And then Rachel, we got her from the breeder that we usually get all the babies from.
Like the inside's a little better than the outside's. I know. I don't think so.
If it's something that you guys are interested in, you can always just call Donna, look up the number for Ocoee Riverside Farm, and you can just talk to her and explain, you know, sometimes you can't do same-day booking online. It won't show up. We have to be sure that we have enough staff, but if you call her and say, you know, I'd like to see if there's anything extra that we can add on for the day, sometimes she can add you on something.
She just wants to be cozy. Savvy, isn't she?
She gets to be after a while, especially like I said, her point right now, you're getting the fullest version of Zoe because she is probably either tonight or tomorrow going to go to the bathroom. Since they only go once a week, it's a massive amount that they expel when they do go. It's about 1/3 of their entire body weight.
That's amazing.
How many animals do you guys have?
over 150. Yeah, total. Now species is a different story. Don't have the exact number for that, but
No, maybe. Think.
You guys,
Like, I don't know.
you guys first.
we do. Yep. We have 2 out there right now. Well, 2.5. One of them is pregnant, so we should have a baby here soon.
Leave your phone alone. You're having sloth time. No, because Zoe needs your attention. You gotta keep both your arms under her.
She does. She is the
does.
detention
She
hog.
needs lots of support there. Now she's like, this girl doesn't want to hold me anymore.
They do explore a
You
lot,
want something, baby?
so she can tell if people aren't paying attention to
You
her.
can.
She say, "I'll find
Like,
attention."
excuse me. I'm Zoe. I'm the one. Take a picture. Yeah.
Then say it to the group chat. Or you're trying to not even
No, I got you in it. Hi, Zoe.
I see.
You and good old Zoe. Prettiest girl ever.
We should, in the next month or so, be getting our 4th and final sloth in. We should be getting our next baby sloth. We'll name her
Chloe,
Zoe.
right?
Yeah, we'll have Zoe and Chloe.
Zoe, Chloe, Flash, and Dash.
Yep. And when we first get them, they're super small. They're only like 2 pounds. And they're really dark when we first get them.
You want more food? She's like, no. She's like, I want all the loves.
She's just grabbing your arm.
She's holding on to you. She's like, hold me. Work my butt.
She sometimes will put a lot of faith in people, a lot more trust than I would for somebody that I first met. But if she's super hungry, right now, obviously she's pretty full because she's ready for snuggles. But when she's super hungry, she'll be like reaching all the way back, extended all the way back, and people are just like supporting her entire body weight. Yeah, she'd be really exploratory. You guys are lucky that she's, yeah. Sometimes it can be difficult to distinguish where's her side and where's her back because her back is so bendy. They do have 3 extra vertebrae in their lumbar spine that allows them to actually rotate their spine all the way back to look back behind them, which is why she can be so bendy. The 3-toed sloths can't do that. They can actually turn their neck all the way back. So I can go about halfway with my neck, but they can go all the way back to look back behind them. Pretty cool, the subtle differences between a 2-toed and 3-toed sloth. Your ring is really pretty.
Oh, thank you.
It looks like some
I'm probably scared with it. I should have just taken it off for this.
Rings aren't too bad. No. But the big hoop earrings I always
she
have.
really likes earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, we have to
take a picture. Remember my password? The year you were born.
1982. You put the wrong year in there.
19.
You put 1952. Girl, that is not the year I was born. Hold there if you're going to. Oh, your phone just died. Probably because you've been on it a little bit.
I can always send pictures though.
I got you. So you're just trying to sleep and she just keeps moving. Nearly as comfortable as the last one.
I don't like class myself.
Why?
Not a whole lot of people can say that they've got to hold a sloth, though.
This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be proof. By the way, school this year after the result they did it. Now search up Ocoee Riverside Farm Sloth
Yeah.
live, and you'll see Zoe.
And
She is super tired.
Yeah. She can always tell the people that are comfortable with holding her and the people that aren't. Because if you weren't comfortable, if you were like really nervous and not really sure about holding her, then she does the same thing. She's like looking around, like okay, so this person doesn't want to hold me. Where do I need to go to? And so it's really, really cool to see. A lot of times what happens is it'll be like a man and wife that will come in, and the wife is really the one that has come and wanting to hold Zoe, and the man is just kind of, just coming to support her. And so she'll hold Zoe, and Zoe just melts into her, and she's really calm and really relaxed. And then the wife usually convinces the guy to hold as well. So then at the end, the last like 5-10 minutes, Zoe goes over to him. And sometimes what happens is that the guy is just really uncomfortable and just really stiff. And Zoe gets a hold of him and is just looking around and looking at the lady like, we had such a good thing going on.
yeah, that's Joel.
Joel would be. It's not big little families. Wrigley. The dog likes Joel. You're right. Because we get him treats. Lots of dog food.
Thanks.
Dogs and cats.
How many like tours do you guys do in a day?
Tours like the farm tours, I think there's like there's about 4 farm tours that can go on throughout the day. But as far as encounters, we have a lot of different encounters. So if we had a fully booked day for sloths, there would be first thing in the morning from 10 to 10:30 would be Flash, 10:30 to 11 would be Zoe, and then it would repeat. So with from 10:30 to 11, another one would be going on with Flash, and then Zoe would be right afterwards. And then there'd be a break until 12 o'clock. And Dash can be booked from the 12 o'clock hour, so from 12 to 1. And then there's a break until 2 o'clock. Zoe can be booked for her afternoon from 2 to 3. And then in the afternoon, Dash does his second encounter, and that would be from 4 to 5. And that's if we were fully booked for a sloth day.
Is there like a kangaroo encounter?
There is. There's a kangaroo encounter, and then there's also a kangaroo bottle feeding. So you can actually learn about the baby kangaroos and everything, and then actually give them a bottle. I think those are just twice a day.
Now they're going to take naps too. Like baby nap time.
Uh-huh.
Phoebe's the one that's out, right?
No,
Mhm.
Phoebe's.
Yeah,
That's
Phoebe's
Rachel.
the littlest one. Rachel's the one with her head
That
out.
was right.
Yeah.
Chloe?
Chloe's the new
Yeah.
baby sloth.
Mm-hmm. We should have her in about 4 weeks.
You want her?
Oh no, I just love her.
You want to hold her?
Do I want to hold her? Yeah, I'll hold her.
Well, our time is
It's
right at
probably-
about up. Yeah, we started a little after
She's gonna need to
2:30, and
nap
it's
anyways.
it's 5 after now. So she's gonna give you one more
Hang on.
snuggle before
Snuggle
she's ready to
time.
go back.
Yep, love hug.
Alrighty.
She is too. She's like, oh, I'll take it. She's like, where you at?
All right, Zoe. Let's scooch in here beside you.
You bet.
All right, Zoe. Look here. Come this way. I know she's
Like,
gonna
wait a
give
minute,
you a
where you
snuggle
going?
first. Sometimes when I go in to get her, she's like, "No, I'm so comfortable. I don't want to go yet," and she wants to give you a last hug.
She's like, I
Just
just need to
embrace
love her
it.
just a little more.
That would be a good picture too if you
That is
wanted
a
to get
good
a picture
picture.
of her
Let me get
holding
that one.
around her neck.
Oh.
Here, I'll take the bowl.
My phone's dead.
Yeah, I'll have to do it with mine.
You can always send pictures.
Oh, Grayson, look at me. Big cuddles. She is just curled
And
right up to you.
that is always her go-to position if she's scared. Like if I were to drop something or clang a dish or something, first place she goes to is right up around your neck. And so when she saw me coming, she knew it. She knew her time is over and she's going to be going back to her enclosure.
Like,
So.
I like your hair, girl.
She's sniffing your
She
hair.
is sniffing your hair. Oh, she's trying to eat it.
Oh no.
You don't want to eat that, Zoe. Trust me.
Really don't.
All right, Zozo. Look here, girl. Come on.
Oh, where are we
No,
going?
girl. Let's go, Nat Nat. Here we go,
Okay.
girl. Let it go. All righty. You guys can watch how I put her back into her hammock. She spends most of her time in her hammock in here when she's not holding on to somebody. But after she gets situated, I'll have to step back out pretty quickly because if I don't, she starts climbing back through the
Oh,
branches
yeah.
at me,
She's
trying to
like,
get me to
"Oh."
pick her back up. She's already on her
She
way.
is too. She's like, wait, I'm not done yet.
And that's why she snuggled back into you so quickly, because she didn't want it to end. She loves this kind of